Hello everyone, this is Evie the Original Master here with a new video. And today I'm here to tell you guys a story about my interaction with the creator of the Powerpuff Girls, Craig McCracken, on Twitter. So Craig McCracken is actually a very nice guy when it comes to Twitter. It's because that if you tag him on Twitter, most likely you'll get an answer from him. You can maybe ask him about the Powerpuff Girls. You may ask him about his other shows that he worked on, and he will most likely will answer your question, if you have any, if you tag him on Twitter. So this all began on the day before Thanksgiving of 2022, where I was on Discord, and I was basically posting Powerpuff Girls images on Davis's server, Davis9754, who was one of my new favorite Discord friends. So I was on his server posting Powerpuff Girls images on his Powerpuff Girls channel, and I posted a picture of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls theme song of her doing a pose that looked very similar to a pose from a franchise that I am very fond of, and that is the Super Mario series. And if you guys are not aware that most of Mario's renders is him doing most of his famous trademark moves like running, jumping, doing a thumbs up and whatnot. But this particular jumping pose that Blossom is doing is a one that Mario does in some of his renders. So I was very curious to know, was this inspired by Mario by any chance? So I went to Twitter, I tagged Craig McCracken on Twitter to ask him, hey, was this inspired by Super Mario? Like when you guys were working on the theme song and you guys drew this pose for Blossom, was Super Mario your inspiration for this pose? And the reason why I particularly said Mario is because it's pretty much the only franchise that I can think of that has this particular pose in general. And so he actually responded back to me and he said that it was not an inspiration. It was actually a coincidence. And that's actually really interesting to me, is because that if you guys are not aware that the Powerpuff Girls was actually inspired by many different things. Like not too long ago on Twitter, I was browsing through Twitter and I saw that Craig McCracken actually replied to a tweet of one of the actors of the series, and that was Roger L. Jackson, who provided the voice of Mojo Jojo. And he actually responded back to that tweet, and he said that Professor Utonium was inspired by a character in a movie that I used to watch back in the day. And that's really interesting, is because there's no such thing as a dumb question, you guys. If you guys see something that looks, I don't know, maybe like something that you've seen from another franchise and you wanted to know if this was inspired by that franchise, or was it like, I don't know, a coincidence or whatnot, you don't have to feel bad for yourself to ask them that particular question. Is because myself, I was curious to know, hey, was this inspired by Super Mario? Because it's the only franchise that I know of that has this particular pose in it. And I don't know, and I honestly had no clue what other franchise that had this pose besides Mario. So I just wanted to know, was this inspired by Mario? And then Craig said, nope, it was not inspired by Mario. It was just a coincidence. And that's really funny to know, because I was just curious. And yeah, I could have just tagged him and said, hey, Craig, I've recently watched your Powerpuff Girls series for the first time. I really enjoyed it. And maybe he probably would have said, why, thank you, because he is a very nice guy on Twitter. He is very well known in the cartoon industry for creating such beloved shows like the Powerpuff Girls. He's also the creator of Foster's Homes for Imaginary Friends, Kid Cosmic, Wander Over Yonder, those shows. And yeah, so that was my brief little story about my interaction with Craig McCracken on Twitter. I will drop the link of that interaction in the description below of this video if you guys would like to see the original tweet. And yeah, so once again, like I've said earlier in the beginning of this video, do not feel afraid to ask Craig over on Twitter questions about his shows is because most likely he will reply back to you and he will give you those answers if you have any to him. But for me, I think my journey with asking big cartoon creators out in the industry to a close just because that I don't want to bother these people. They're busy working on projects. They're probably either having some free time. So I don't see a need for me to go on Twitter and tag these big celebrity voice actors and cartoon creators these questions is because I most likely might not have any questions to ask to them, and I just don't want to have to bother them because they're so busy all the time. So that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.